George Washington, the first president of the United States, set a standard of integrity for those to follow. His steadfast belief in unity held together an infant nation. The protection of his country was of the utmost importance, as shown in his warning, Farewell Address against long-term alliances. Washington was in position to set the economics of America, and he did so with Hamilton's economic plan. He believed in peaceful delegation with old enemies and advocated the avoidance of war. His level-minded policies gave America a successful platform to flourish from.
John Adams. The blunt honesty and frank attitude of the second President of the United States matched his policies of strong, stubborn central government. Adams built the Navy for the protection of the Union. The Alien and Sedition Acts were designed to continue this trend and to preserve for Americans what was thought to be the pride of being native. Adams held a lowly reputation based upon his less than desirable personality. The XYZ Affair nailed the people's view of him in place. The scandal known as the Midnight Judges ended the Adams administration on a sour and unprofessional note. Adams finished his life in a state common to French artists, removed from glory. Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson, albeit inconsistent, greatly advanced the geological mass and the power of congressional debate. He successfully negotiated the purchasing of the Louisiana Territory and passed the Judiciary Act. The president saw the need for exploration and the expansion of knowledge, and sent forth explorers into the untamed horizon. Back home in Washington, Jefferson's humanitarian pen scribbled away at the writings that would live down the centuries as some of the greatest literary feats for human rights. These words, unfortunately, would not be put into reforming action until well after his death. James Madison. Madison broke the tacit goal of the presidents before him. He opened war with England, something that those before him had been avoiding. He justified Mr. Madison's war by appealing to the people's desire to cure the Indian problem. His fierce sense of nationalism brought the Non-intercourse Act and the previously mentioned conflicts with England and the Native Americans. The paths he chose would give rise to heroes from the Battle of Tippecanoe, forever engraving Madison's vital role in the history of America.
James Monroe. While Monroe was faced with an economic panic, his presidency was met with the long-hoped-for era of good feeling between parties. The stability in government allowed for the president to turn his sights to other matters. Mr. Monroe could set forth time to summon the powers that be to create the Monroe Doctrine, preserving his open schedule. Monroe shut European influence away and allowed American scopes to remain on American interests. Such isolation allowed for expansionistic goals and the Tariff of 1816. The leaders to come would be left with the implications set in place by Monroe's administration. John Quincy Adams. The second Adams is considered to have been one of the worst and least beneficial presidents to preside over pre-Jacksonian America. His laissez-faire style of handling military goings-on pushed the arms decisions into the hands of Andrew Jackson, who Adams supported through Congress. Adams focused on his goals of improving infrastructure as well as modernization. His ideals of a better America manifested in the Erie Canal and not so positively in the Tariff of Abominations. Although not well liked, the second Adams lived down in history as a genuine, trying, and overall undesirable president. Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson stormed the White House as the savior of the common man. With no formal schooling, little to no education, and poor diplomatic mannerisms, Jackson was the people's representation in a world of qualified, educated, and overall superior men. Jackson's military mind gave way to strong central governmental policies, case in point vetoing Congress 12 times and bringing about the downfall of the national bank. At the heart of every action, Jackson kept the preservation of the most sacred Union. With such an honorable value in mind, he justified the massacre of nearly an entire population of people. If one is to view his administration from the prospect of utility, Mr. Jackson was completely in the right, and overall, a smashing good president. Martin Van Buren. Van Buren's presidency was riddled with minimal uprisings and disputes on every level, social, economic, and political. The economic panic of 1837 struck, and Van Buren had no other mindset than to keep America stable. On a social level, the Caroline affair shattered the once godlike stance of the presidency, reminding the people that a president is only human. The Arctic War, though small, kept pressure on the government, reminding them that the State of Union was not entirely safe, and, try as they might, America was not the only country in the world. Imperialism came with a price. At the front of this uprising, Van Buren met it with cool neutrality and remained as such. John Tyler. Tyler was faced with heated debate in Congress and the people abroad. Allowing the annexation of Texas would shatter all lines that kept slave and free states equal. Although his predecessor had been largely against such action, Tyler quickly signed in the newest member of the Union. His administration was riddled with treaties to prevent bloodshed, including, but not limited to, the Treaty of Wanhai and the Treaty of Webster-Ashburton. Expansionism played a key role in Tyler's presidency, as shown in his annexation of Texas. Regardless of this strong governmental step, Tyler remained against the national bank. The creation of the Lone Star State would remain his greatest achievement. James K. Polk. Polk based his platform on expansion, and valued such above all else. He skillfully avoided war with England, an enemy America could not survive another war with. The Oregon Treaty breathed another safe presidency without English conflict. Mexico, on the other hand, was a less comparable enemy, and easily defeated. The outbreak of the Mexican War was certainly to be expected. No surprise ending came, and America gained what was desired. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo allotted for Mexican compensation and American gain. Polk, a firm believer in manifest destiny, pressed Americans onward into a full new world.